As mentioned in the previous episode, we're gonna talk about piston rings, ring gaps, and piston ring clocking. As we know, there are people that follows this series intricately to gain every bit of knowledge. So we do our best to completely share all of the things that we could. As we have seen builds that end up being a showcase of bolt-ons. And obviously, we would like to avoid that. So now let's head on to the workbench, shall we? Okay, now here we are organizing the workbench. We're gonna actually put down a strip of masking tape to just let me label the order of all the piston rings. This way it's all organized. And you could build engines in the backyard, under a tree. As long as you keep things organized, there's less chances of making things wrong or making mistakes. Okay, we got the masking tape laid out. I just like numbering it just to make it a little obvious. It kind of gives you a more toned down or a more relaxed state. This way, you don't tend to forget or confuse things. Now, here we'll show you the OEM suggested ring gaps and even the factory limits. Here, you can see the top ring is 0.006 to 0.012, but the limit is 0.024. And we've gone to 0.024 with no problems as long as your bore is concentric. Later, you'll see why we're laying out 4 A4 papers or 4 pieces of bond paper. You'll see. Alright, now we can head off to the block. Okay, cylinder 1 with the top ring. Oops. We actually like to check the gap on the topmost to where it reaches top dead center, because that's where it's requiring all the compression and sealing ability. We do it in the front to back axis and the left and right axis. So this one is the first one. Okay, we're gonna use 0.011 and 0.012 filler gauge. This is the 12. Okay, it's a little tight, so let's go with the 11. Alright, yeah, this one is good. It kind of touches a bit, but not really too much. Now we try on the sideways or left to right axis, just to be sure it's not that oval. We same level, the one that it's at a top dead. And then we check with the filler gauge again. We go with the 0.011 because that's what's fitting properly. Alright, yep, that's good. Yeah. So we just take this off. Yep. And okay, now here's something important that we like to do. We also check the ring gaps halfway through the stroke, because it's a 90 millimeter stroke, so that's a little over 3.5 inches. So around 1.7 or 40 to 45 millimeters below deck, because that's where most of the wear would come from. So we check it that deep. Alright. And so we check the gap, because if it's inconsistent, then you gotta go oversize on the pistons. So let's check now. Alright, it's still good. Oh, it's still good, yeah. Now we check on the left to right axis and just double check if it's good. Still good. Yeah. Now here we are doing the rest of the pistons, and you can see being organized makes it a little bit more easier than usual. Sorry, I meant rings. Now the second ring, they were a shade over 0.018, so it's still well within spec. And here you can see on the bench why we have the 4 pieces of paper. It's so you can individually wrap rings per piston. This way you stay organized. And actually label them. It's a habit that each builder should develop. And hobbyists. Here we show you how much below deck the top ring is. Basically, the highest part of the top ring when it's a top dead center, where it needs the most compression or its maximum seal. It's a little over 5 millimeters, or actually just 1/4 of an inch. So instead of measuring it deeper, it's better to measure it right where where the compression is needed. And half stroke is about halfway down to the skirt. This is why we check the ring gaps at those two levels. Now on to the ring clocking sequence. This is the factory settings or required settings from the factory manual. And you can follow this and you cannot go wrong. We like to do it a little differently, so we will show you right now. Okay, so the top ring, we like to position it at the 10 o'clock position or place. And the second ring over at 2 o'clock, 45 degrees apart. And then the spacer ring right on the axis of the piston pins. And then the expander right at 6 o'clock. This way, when you use the ring compressor, it doesn't accidentally align within one another, especially the oil control rings, because it could either lack in lubrication or cause a lot of smoke. Click up here for more about piston rings. Now let's head over to the block and prep the crank before we show you the cylinder head. Let's go. Now here is the block after being cleaned for the third and final time. Now we install the main bearings back again on its final home and assembly lube, because this is not going to run the next day, as the owner is still going to bring this all the way to Bacolod as they restore the VTI body. The assembly lube right now is quite perfect for this. This way, it can be stored for a week or two and it'll be well pre-lubed upon startup. So now we drop in the crank. Okay, slowly. Alright. And then the thrust washers. Just make sure the groove is on the outside or facing the metal. Once again, assembly lube on the journals. Lavishly apply them on the main journals because you can never be too safe. Alright, the last one. Okay, now onto the main caps. The new bearings installed. Alright, careful, don't hit the main journals. Just get it snug because it's a perfect fit. Now onto the main bolts. Alright, then hand tight so that they're secure. And you can go onto the first step of the torquing sequence. Just hand tight so that it's more snug. Alright, now the first step, 18 feet-pounds. Do this in sequence so that you don't end up bending or twisting the crank. Okay, second step, 38 feet-pounds. Do it in a proper sequence so that, we don't twist the crank or whatever. Third and final step, 47 feet-pounds. And we're done. Yeah. Alright, now here's the oil drain that's coming from the head. All these four. And oil gets pumped up from this orifice. is to lubricate the rocker arms, cool the springs and valves and whatnot. It also functions as an escape from the crankcase pressures at the bottom going up to the valve cover breather. And as the RPMs go up, more oil gets drained, so we know what happens. So we'll talk about that in a different video, and the link will be up here. Now let's go to the cylinder head. The intake ports are now 95% done. Just a little bit of touch up and finishing, and we're good to go. And as you can see, it has taken great shape. We haven't really hogged anything or increased extensive port volume. This way, it's more efficient and produces good torque, which is very much welcome for a street car. And I guess we deserve to keep a little secret for ourselves, as the exhaust has a lot of black magic in it. But we will show you. And next episode, we will install the pistons. As we showed you the ring gaps, we will show you how we install the pistons and get the block almost finished and ready. So stay tuned.